acting in accord with police department policy or not?
I don't recall. I don't know policies off the top of my head. I'm not a genius.
So you can't testify today that you weren't in violation of the policies.
I would have to go look at it, but I know I was doing the right thing.
The right thing according to whom?
Policies. I can't think of policies off the top of my head. No.
Well, how can you have it both ways, Mr. Joffrion? If you don't know the policies, how can you say that you were doing the right thing according to the policies?
I have no idea.
So is this recording, you plan to put this on the internet or something?
Because my thing is, I've been threatened.
Oh,
You don't need to explain anything to me because I literally don't care.
I've been threatened.
oh.
I literally don't care. This isn't some free will state, man. This is how it is in the state of Mississippi.
Because my thing is, I've been threatened.
Oh.
I literally don't care.
If somebody's planning to release this or put it on the internet or something like that, then, we're gonna file the undue publicity motion. So, a motion for a protective order. So I just want to be clear and put everybody on notice of that.
I literally don't care.
So did you make any mistakes?
No, I did not make any mistakes.
A couple of years ago, Jeff Gray with Honor Your Oath Civil Rights Investigations was standing on a public sidewalk in front of City Hall in Waveland, Mississippi, holding a sign that said, "God bless the homeless veterans." He was approached by Sergeant Joffrion, who told Jeff that he had a personal complaint against him from the mayor of the town. While Sergeant Joffrion was named in a lawsuit, which is where this deposition came from, he never faced any personal consequences for his actions on this day, and he knows he never will, which is why he acts so smug in his deposition.
How you doing, man? You got some ID on you?
Good morning, gentlemen. God bless our homeless veterans.
Yep, I'm a vet too, man.
All right, cool.
Air Force.
All right.
You got your ID on you?
What for?
Vagrancy.
Vagrancy.
Yes, sir.
So what is the crime of vagrancy?
I can't think of it off the top of my head right now.
You don't know what the crime of vagrancy is, do you?
If I had that statute in front of me, I could then tell you.
Are you aware that the statute had been repealed 5 years before you accused Mr. Gray of vagrancy?
Correct.
All right, so how did he commit the crime of vagrancy? How could he possibly have committed a crime that had been repealed 5 years ago that you can't even define?
All right.
You got your ID on you?
What for?
Vagrancy.
Vagrancy.
Yes, sir. You got several complaints on here that you're begging for food, money, stuff like that.
That's not true.
Okay, well, I'm just out here for that reason.
Okay.
Who had you received a complaint from that he was begging for food, money, and stuff like that?
That would be, I don't know.
Well, you said you got several complaints that he was begging, but you don't know who any of the several complaints are.
I didn't receive any complaints that he was begging for money.
You got several complaints on here that you're begging for food, money, stuff like that.
Where did you get the information that there had been several complaints that he was begging for food, money, and stuff like that?
Top of my head.
That's not true.
Okay, well, I'm just out here for that reason.
Okay.
So, do you have your ID on you?
Am I required to give you ID?
Yes, you are.
What happened if I don't give it to you?
You're going to jail. Period. Go to
Really?
jail.
You said to Mr. Gray that you had received several complaints that he was begging for food, money, stuff like that, and he responded, "That's not true." And you said, "Well, I'm just out here for that reason," and again asked for identification.
Mhm.
I need a yes.
Yes.
All right. And he asked you whether he was required to provide identification, and you responded that he was. And he asked, "If I don't, what will happen?" And you said, "You're going to jail, period."
Am I required to give you ID?
Yes, you are.
What happened if I don't give it to you?
You're going to jail. Period.
Do you
Yes.
recall saying that?
Yes.
All right. So what were you going to take Mr. Gray to jail for if he did not provide you identification?
Failure to comply
Failure to comply with what?
with the lawful order.
And what was the lawful order?
Identification.
Under what circumstances are you entitled to demand identification from a person?
Reasonable suspicion that crime occurred.
All right. And what reasonable suspicion did you have that he had committed a crime?
Harassing customers. Peeping through windows. Repeatedly asking people for money.
All right. But you just told me that you're not aware of one single person.
I don't know their names.
Well, who did you speak to? Where did you interact with these persons?
Beforehand, I didn't.
All right. So how did you have a reasonably articulable suspicion that he had committed a crime if you had not spoken to one single person, can't identify one single complainant, and had no personal knowledge of anything about begging for food or vagrancy?
Yeah, right.
Sir, I'm standing on a public sidewalk engaged in constitutionally protected
Correct.
activity.
Correct. But I'm letting you know you're going to go to jail, no questions asked.
Even if I'm standing on a public
Yes,
sidewalk?
yes. How many times do I got to explain it to you?
So if I don't give you ID, I'm
Yeah,
going to
you're
jail.
going to jail for failure to identify.
Then you said you're going to jail for failure to identify. What ordinance or state code section is the crime of failure to identify?
There isn't one.
Right? Why would you say that you're going to jail for failure to identify?
Who knows? I don't know.
Can I just leave?
If you wish to do so, but I need to identify you.
I don't
first.
wish to do so. I'd like to stay here and
You're
express
not,
my.
You're not going to stay here, period. I'm going to let you know.
Do I have to leave?
Yes,
Why?
because I'm instructing you. I'm giving you a lawful order to leave.
And if I don't leave?
You're going to jail.
Was Mr. Gray on a public sidewalk?
Yes,
Is City Hall a public property?
yes.
Why was he not free to stay there and continue what he was doing?
I'm not sure.
But you told him that he wasn't, and now you don't know why you said it.
Correct. Been over a year ago.
Then he asked why he had to leave, and you said, because I'm instructing you. I'm giving you a lawful order to leave. You remember saying that?
Yes.
What was your authority for a, quote, lawful order that he must leave the public sidewalk on the public city hall?
Sure.
Then you told him that if he didn't leave, he was going to jail again. Do you remember saying that?
I don't recall.
I'm giving you a lawful order to leave.
And if I don't leave?
You're going to jail
I'll go to jail.
for
And you're
failure.
Officer Sergeant Joffrion?
Sergeant Joffrion, Officer Andrews.
All right. Y'all have a good day.
You got your ID with you?
So if I don't leave, I'll go to jail.
Yep. Give me your ID first.
And in your report, you said Sergeant Joffrion advised if he did not leave, he was going to jail for disorderly conduct. What is the crime of disorderly conduct?
I don't have the law book in front of me.
Who was he disturbing?
That's why I was investigating.
What conduct was he committing that was disorderly?
That's why I was investigating.
What conduct did you observe that had breached the peace?
That's why I was investigating.
No. What conduct had you observed that was a breach of the peace?
I didn't observe any conduct.
Your report says Sergeant Joffrion advised that if he did not leave, that he was going to jail for disorderly conduct. I can play the whole video for you again with Sergeant Joffrion if you'd like.
That's fine.
But at no point in this approximately 5-minute video do you use or ever utter the word disorderly conduct.
Okay.
So would you agree with me that your report is inaccurate when you said that you advised him he was going to jail for disorderly conduct?
No.
Would you, how could that not be inaccurate if you never said the word disorderly conduct?
I don't know.
And if I don't give you ID, I'll go to jail.
Yes.
Even though I've explained to you that I'm engaged in constitutionally protected
I don't
activity,
care if you explain it to me or not.
safeguarded by the First Amendment. It's
Okay.
freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly on a traditional public forum, the steps of City Hall.
Correct.
I'm
Yeah.
not begging for
You got
money.
your ID?
I'm not begging for money.
Okay. You got your ID.
Do I need to show you my ID?
You need to show me your ID. Yes, sir.
Or what?
You're going to jail.
Well, you guys, I tell you, man. I'm going to put you on notice before I show you my ID and before you do all this.
No, you're going to show me your ID right now.
Nope.
Then you can do whatever you wish after that.
You guys are idiots,
All right.
man.
Okay. That's your opinion.
You guys really are
Central
dumb,
Florida,
dumb as a
yeah.
bag of hammers.
Okay. That's perfectly
Let
fine.
me get back up here. I'm trying to leave.
George 600 433 700081.
Is my ID going to tell you if I'm committing a crime or not?
433-700081.
What
Doesn't
is-
matter if you commit a crime or not. You have to identify in reference to a complaint.
What you just said there. It doesn't matter whether you committed a crime or not. You have to identify. Do you believe that to be an accurate statement of the law?
Read to the form. Reword that.
No, I'm not going to reword that.
Then I'm not going to answer it.
Read it back.
You just said there, it doesn't matter whether you committed a crime or not. You have to identify. Do you believe that to be an accurate statement of the law?
Yeah, I have to have reasonable suspicion to identify someone.
Because you're violating.
No, you need to have reasonable articulable suspicion that a crime is afoot. You
Okay,
didn't.
I do have reasonable suspicion. I just instructed you. So,
Vagrancy?
yeah.
What ordinance is that?
City ordinance.
Okay, we're back to vagrancy.
Okay.
He asked you what crime you were investigating. You said vagrancy right there. You heard it, correct? Not harassing, not stalking. You didn't say that.
Okay.
All right. And we've already established that vagrancy is not a crime, correct? So you couldn't have been investigating him for the crime of vagrancy when there is no such crime, correct?
Correct.
Even though I've explained to you that I'm
You
engaged
don't
in
need to-
constitutionally
you
protected.
don't need to explain anything to me because I literally don't care.
My question for clarification is when you said, I literally don't care, what did you literally not care about?
I don't know.
Was it, you literally didn't care about Mr. Gray's constitutionally protected expressive activity?
No.
Was it Mr. Gray's explanation that he had not committed any sort of crime? He was not a vagrant that
No.
you didn't care about?
No.
So what didn't you care about?
His attitude, his words coming out of his mouth, explanation.
Yeah, you don't need to explain anything to me because I literally don't care.
That's what I mean.
If you were conducting an investigation, why would you not care about the explanation given by the person being investigated?
Because he already stated that he wasn't committing a crime.
And that's not important to you.
I was there for a reason and he denied it, so it wasn't going any further from his perspective.
It wasn't going any farther from his perspective. What does that mean?
His opinion,
I still don't understand. What wasn't going any farther from his opinion?
denying that a crime occurred.
So are you saying you didn't care that he denied a crime had been committed?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, I don't know what you don't care about.
He denied a crime didn't occur.
And that's what you didn't care about, his denial.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, well, please explain to me what you didn't care about.
His opinion. He stated a crime didn't occur. I left it as that. I don't want to hear no more excuses. I don't want to care. That's all I meant.
I don't know how to reconcile that with your earlier statement. You didn't care about his denial.
I hear in reference to a complaint
All right.
by the mayor of this city.
By the mayor.
By the mayor of this city.
Okay.
If you have any complaints, you can send him an email, call him later on.
You know what, at this point, I'm gonna remain silent because this is obviously, you guys,
This isn't some free will state, man. This is how it is in the state of Mississippi.
You said Mississippi isn't some free will state. What is a free will state?
I have no idea.
Well, what did you mean when you said Mississippi isn't a free will state?
I don't recall.
so you don't have freedom in the state of Mississippi?
If you don't like it, you can go back to Florida. Period.
Is it city policy to tell people if you don't like it, you can go back to Florida, period?
I don't recall. Shit.
Or how many other people have you told if they don't like it, they can go back to where they came from?
I don't recall.
All right, well, let me have my ID and I'll go back to Florida.
I'll give you an idea once it comes back.
I don't want to go to jail. And you're a veteran.
I'm a veteran. Yes.
What
sir.
did you serve?
Huh?
Where did you serve?
That's none of your business.
All right. Did you take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution when you served?
I absolutely did.
Yeah, and you're not doing that right now.
Okay, that's your
Did you
opinion.
take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution when
that
you
is your opinion.
became a cop?
That is your opinion.
Then you're not doing it right now.
That's your opinion.
You would agree that your oath required you to uphold the Constitution, whatever it may require.
Which oath?
Your oath of office. You took an oath to be a police officer, didn't you?
I don't recall.
Do you recall telling Mr. Gray that you had taken an oath?
I don't recall what a video states.
Who you guys have a supervisor?
I'm the supervisor.
I better start recording this.
You can start recording. We've been recording the whole time since we made contact.
Told you I'm not panhandling. I'm just coming out saying God bless the homeless veteran on this public sidewalk at the steps of City Hall. You don't care. I'm going to jail.
I just say you was going to jail.
Now, you just said there, I never said you were going to jail. That wasn't true, was it?
No, it wasn't.
You never said I was going to jail? Oh boy, I wish I was recording before. You guys said you're recording? Can you get body camera videos in the state of Mississippi through a public record request?
Absolutely not.
All right, there, Mr. Gray asked you if it was possible to obtain body cam footage, and you said absolutely not. Correct?
Correct.
That's not true either, is it?
No.
Okay.
Central 1114.
Go ahead.
10-4, that 27 is going to come back to a Marcus Jeffrey, valid, -29, -4.
Come on.
What did she say? negative 29. What does that mean?
You would add that, you would dispatch.
What does negative 4 mean?
You have to with dispatch.
You don't know what it means.
Not the top of my head, no.
So your testimony today under oath is that when she said, comes back to Marcus Jeffrey, valid negative 29, negative 4, you did not know what she meant.
I knew what it meant then.
But you don't know what it means today.
No.
Are you still a sergeant with the Waveland Police Department?
Correct.
And so if I called you over the radio or dispatch called you over the radio and said, valid negative 29, negative 4, you would not know what that means today.
Probably so. Not right now, though.
Why do you not know right now?
Tired.
All right, Mr. Jeffrey, you're free to go.
Pretty good. Can I
All
stay?
No, you cannot stay. You gotta go.
So if I don't go, I'll go to jail.
All right. You're a lawful order not to come back. Have a good evening.
At the conclusion of the video, you said, I'm giving you a lawful order not to come back. I think we've established that you can't cite to me any law or statute or ordinance that authorize you to provide a lawful order, correct?
Texas form.
Big question.
You can't cite to me any authority that lets you, as a sergeant for the Waveland Police Department, to give a lawful order not to come back to public property.
No.
Is that Waveland Police Department or City of Waveland, Mississippi policy to tell people that they can't return to public property?
No.
On how many occasions have you told someone that they can't return to public property?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
More than once?
I have no idea.
You don't know if you've told any person other than Mr. Gray?
Don't know, sir.
Well, what was your basis for telling Mr. Gray that he couldn't stay there, that he had to leave the property under a lawful order?
I don't recall.
You didn't have any authority to tell Mr. Gray that he couldn't stay or that he had to leave the property, did you?
No.
So did you go speak with the mayor right then after Mr. Gray left?
Correct.
Is that on body cam?
No.
Why not?
Because it wasn't in the scope of my duties as citizens of call. All right, let me reword that. Wasn't like general public interaction.
What is the department's policy on activating the body cams?
I can't recall off the top of my head.
So you don't know when you're supposed to activate them,
I can't recall off the top of my head.
and you're a supervisor at the Waveland Police Department.
Absolutely.
You've been continuously employed by Waveland Police Department since May 30th, 2023.
Absolutely.
And you don't know the policy on body cams.
Not off the top of my head.
How can you perform your job as a sergeant and supervisor at Waveland Police Department if you don't know the policy?
I don't know. You tell me.
What's your understanding of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution?
Yeah, I'm gonna object. You've repeatedly asked this witness.
It is asking him what his understanding of the First Amendment is. I did not ask him what does the First Amendment of the United States Constitution protect, provide, or anything else. I asked him about his understanding of it. If he doesn't understand the First Amendment, then he can say
You've
that.
asked what facts constitute what crimes. You've repeatedly asked him to draw legal conclusions.
I asked him about his knowledge of the crimes that he accused my
Okay,
client
I
of
want
committing.
it on the record that I have asked you over and over again to quit asking these witnesses to draw legal conclusions because that is inappropriate. And if it continues, I'm gonna ask for a protective order on it.
I'm going to continue to ask the witnesses what their understanding of the laws that they were enforcing was. What's your understanding of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution?
I don't recall. I'm not an expert as far as
Do you know what the First Amendment protects at all?
I don't recall.
Do you know what the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution
recall.
protects?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any objection to obviously it being recorded, but just for everybody's benefit on here, if somebody's planning to release this or put it on the internet or something like that, then, we're gonna file the undue publicity motion. So, a motion for a protective order. So I just want to be clear and put everybody on notice of that, but go ahead.
Is there anything that you think you could have done better?
I could have handled it a little different.
How?
Could have reworded some things.
What things?
I can't recall off the top of my head.
Do you need to watch the video again?
No, I don't.
So if your testimony is that you could have reworded some things, but you don't know what things,
I know what things. Just handled it better, talked a little different.
How?
I don't know, I'm not in those shoes right now.
Well, how can you say that there are things you would have done, but I can't answer the question as to what they would have been?
I just know I could have handled it better, but it will give me time to think on it.
So did you make any mistakes?
No, I did not make any mistakes.
Tell me what the elements of vagrancy are.
Check to the phone.
I can't think of all off the top of my head right now. I'm not.
Tell me what you recall. Tell me what you recall are the elements of the crime of vagrancy.
I can't recall. I don't know the laws by heart. I just know what certain crimes are. I'm not a lawyer.
So what is the crime of vagrancy?
I can't say it verbatim. Give you.
I'm not asking verbatim. I'm asking you to tell me, you said you just know what the laws are. What is the crime of vagrancy?
Can't answer that right now on top of my head.
Well, you accused Mr. Gray of vagrancy the moment you stepped out of your cruiser. What were you accusing him of doing?
Can't think of it off the top of my head right now.
You don't know what the crime of vagrancy is, do you?
If I had that statute in front of me, I could then tell you.
Are you aware that the statute had been repealed 5 years before you accused Mr. Gray of vagrancy?
Correct.
All right, so how did he commit the crime of vagrancy? How could he possibly have committed a crime that had been repealed 5 years ago that you can't even define?
I'm gonna object to the argumentative nature of these questions. I would ask you to calm down a little bit when you're asking the questions.
I didn't arrest him or identify him off of vagrancy.
Do we need to watch the video?
If you want to watch it, you can. I'm not.
Up to this point that we're talking about with vagrancy.
How you doing, man? You got some ID on me?
Good morning, gentlemen. God bless our homeless veterans.
Yep, I'm a vet too, man.
All right, cool.
Air Force.
All right.
You got your ID on you?
What for?
Vagrancy.
Vagrancy.
Yes, sir.
That was you speaking, correct?
Correct.
And he asked you why you needed to see identification, and you said vagrancy.
Okay.
All right. So what is vagrancy?
I'm not a lawyer.
But you are a law enforcement officer.
Correct.
No. So I'm trying to understand, Mr. Joffrion, why you approached Mr. Gray, who's standing there holding a sign, and accused him of vagrancy.
How did I accuse him of it?
He asked why you would need identification, and you responded vagrancy. Do we need to play this again?
You can play it.
Do you need to see it again to know that that's what
I
happened?
don't need to say anything.
So you did accuse him of vagrancy.
I didn't accuse him of vagrancy.
So why would you say the word vagrancy?
I don't know.
Well, who would know?